At the core of my book is the thesis that from pagan literature, especially now Greek and Roman mythology, that we can find a limited wisdom that points to the fuller wisdom of Christ and the New Testament. And I do believe that we can find those intimations that people that do not yet know the Scriptures can follow their yearnings and be brought part of the way to the fuller Christian revelation. And if you ask me where is that in the Bible, the most clear place in the Bible is the beautiful story of the journey of the Magi. Now, the Magi were not Christians, obviously, but they also weren't Jews. They didn't have the Old Testament. They were probably Zoroastrians from the area of Persia and Babylon, and they got their wisdom by studying the stars. They were looking for signs in the stars that would point them to something that was coming on the earth. And whatever exactly the Star of Bethlehem was, it somehow spoke to them that a king was about to be born that would obviously be meaningful not just to Jews, but to pagans, because they themselves were Gentiles. They were not Jews. And taking that limited wisdom, sort of like a candle, they followed that limited wisdom, and it took them to the Christ child. Now, when they got there, they could have said, forget this, you got to be kidding me. I didn't come all this way to see a baby. But that's not what they said. As they stood before the Christ child, the Magi recognized that this was the true end. The Greeks have a word telos, a purposeful end. This was the true end of their long, long search. They could not have guessed it, but now that they stood before Christ, they recognized that this was the fulfillment of their deepest yearning. Another example from the Scriptures is Acts chapter 10. Cornelius, who was a Roman centurion, a pagan, they call him a God-fearing Gentile, but he still is not a Jew, and yet he clearly is a man of virtue who is seeking to live a life of virtue and seek after the truth. In fact, we're told that he is at prayer, and while he is at prayer, the biblical God appears to him and tells him, I've heard your prayers, and I will send someone. And he sends the Apostle Peter, and Peter brings the message of the gospel. And Cornelius, again, recognizes that this is the end of his search. And so his limited pagan wisdom, even his limited attempt at virtue, it does not save him. But it is a preparatio evangelicum, a preparation for the good news. And so the limited wisdom of the Magi and Cornelius finds its fulfillment in Christ.